So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen so that we can just have a conversation. And yeah, let's get
And
started.
Lucius, have you spotlighted Steve? I cannot see him.
I thought I did. Let me just double check.
Yeah, I just carry a spotlight everywhere I go, so don't worry about me.
I love that.
Don't lose your spotlight, anyone.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for your patience, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. All right. So thank you all for taking the time to share your expertise with us today. I think I have everyone. Yeah, I do have everyone. Okay, so I am going to ask that you each just share a little bit about yourself, your background, and what it is that you do and how you work with students. We can start with you, Alec.
Sure, sure. And I know we're having some audio issues, so if anything comes through the background, just let me know. I can switch rooms. But briefly, my name is Alec. I work for M3, right, which is a early talent, early career, kind of placement agency. My colleague Steve is also here. I've been in the recruitment space in general for about 8 years. Started in agency recruitment, doing full cycle, both sides of the desk. Really found my passion in the people side of things. Not so much business development, but really speaking to candidates and figuring out what they want to do. And then from there, I kind of found early talent and at a certain point, the job market kind of changed, right? And then I found a lot more meaning in what I do, right? Because this population became a little bit more vulnerable. So I think it's the right place to be, and that's a little bit about me.
All right. I guess I'm next. Angel Pinheiro. I'm the president and CEO of ATCA Services Corporation. I have a long career in IT, started in 1981, so 4.5 decades doing this. Mainly ITSM, IT service management. Um, I did a little switch in 2019 to start my own company, focusing on connecting people and organizations to the people and organizations that need whatever the product and services that they offer. Most of them are in related to workforce development, and technology services. Workforce has been incredibly important to me over the years. In as a service practitioner, I've had the honor and privilege, along with my team, to hire hundreds. In fact, probably the number's probably more like 14, 1,500 IT support people, network specialists, cybersecurity engineers, project managers, etc. And now I work closely with secondary and post-secondary and non-private training institutes to help develop the future workforce, um, and so that employers have a pipeline that they can rely on. Rely on being the key word. What that means is that this future pipeline of people, talented individuals, must have the right skills and experience and exposure um, to be valuable to the employers that are looking to hire them. One of the things that I hear a lot from companies, especially in enterprise spaces, that they're having a difficult time finding the right people, and they think I'm going to empathize with them, and I don't. But I said, well, that's a true statement, but what are you doing about it to solve that problem? And the reason I ask that question is because I'm trying to get employers to work closely with secondary and post-secondary institutions to help um, provide um, the the information that they need to hire people. What are the skills that you're looking for, and help get that information into the curriculum. And so I work closely with professors. I work closely with teachers in the CTE realm. Um, I work very closely with community colleges. I work closely with the College Board. I work closely with the United Federation of Teachers, and I work closely with school principals and CTE directors on the education side, as I work very closely with the CEOs, CIOs, CTOs, the hiring managers of employers to help bridge that that connection, that relationship that employers must have with academic institutions. At the end of the day, and I say this as often as I can, the beneficiary of a skilled person are employers, right? So they need to have a stake in the game. Um, and so that's who I am.
Thank you, Angel. I'm just going to interject because I saw a couple of really cool comments. First of all, for those of you all didn't know, Angel knows a guy. Okay, so whatever you're looking for, Angel knows the guy. And also, AJ at BMCC's TTPR, that's Tech Talent Pipe Residency, said three of their former students got jobs through M3. So just wanted to interject to share that before we move on to Steve. Thank you all.
I appreciate that, Lucy. So my name is Steve Ramos. I have been in workforce development for over 15 years. I've done everything from being a career counselor to working career services, managing career services teams, been a full 360 recruiter working on more experienced positions. And I've spent the last about 7 to 8 years focusing specifically on entry level talent. I worked at a not for profit where I met Zamira. Recruiting candidates and then offering like soft skill coaching, resume writing, teaching people essentially how to get a job. And then we'll go into the market and align them with interviews and try to kind of build clientele to hire some of the grads. I work at M3 now, leading a recruitment team for North America, um, where we do a bit of, well, I think Alec explained it really well. We focus on working with employers to understand their needs and then creating training programs designed to help fill in the gaps that students have right now in the job market, aligning them with interviews and helping them break into the space, mostly for large financial companies. Really excited to be here. I'm also a career coach as well on the side. I'm really passionate about this space and I've sat in all of your shoes before. So eager to hear some questions and see if I can help.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And Juan, last but not least, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lucy. Thank you, Steve. So my name is Wan Min. I work as a business development specialist at Panda Ink Inc., a staffing firm in downtown Brooklyn. And on the side, I'm the CEO of SquareOne. So how I got into staffing and, also helping early stage students to land their jobs is, I came to the US as an international student in 2015. By the time I graduated in 2020, I wasn't able to find a job, and also the most difficult part for international student is we only had 3 months to find a job. That's the grace period that the government give us, otherwise we have to leave. So luckily I found one and I settled down here, and that's something has been bothering me this whole time, which is, looking at so many students struggling of finding a job, domestic and internationally. So that triggered me want to do something about that. So I founded a nonprofit organization, especially helping those graduating students that are first time looking for a job that may not know what employers want from them, and so we can help out. We can be of service to those students. So yeah, I'm very happy to be here, and yeah, looking forward to the session.
Thank you so much, everyone. And so Harry Prasad has just joined us. And Harry, we have just started doing introductions. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Harry didn't think you would be able to make it, and so I'm so glad that whatever meeting wrapped up early and you were able to join us
Yes.
today. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. Please let everyone know where you are, what you do
Yes.
in your organization. Thank you.
So apologies for the tardiness. I have an executive meeting every 10 to 11 every Thursday with all the C-suite and founders and board. So right now I'm a founding AI recruiter at Phoenix E-commerce Technologies. We're one of the fastest growing startups in the world, year over year, 100% growth. We're growing into the next 11-figure company right now. Founding AI recruiter, I'm building out the AI team from scratch, getting the top 2% of AI talent, I've been doing tech recruiting for about 13 years now. I'm also a CUNY alumni, graduated from Brooklyn College. Started off at Queensboro, so humble beginnings. Started off at Uber. I was doing technology sourcing. Went to the agency side. I've worked staffing all of the major banks: Morgan Stanley, TD Ameritrade, Bank of America, President's Club, all that fun stuff. And then corporate again after COVID. I worked at Meta. I worked at Apple. I built out some of your favorite applications. So Apple Wallet, Apple Pay, I got the engineers building that out. I was like one of the driving forces behind that. And now, being a founding AI recruiter in the startup game, it's interesting meeting the top 2% of tech talent, getting everybody up to speed, and utilizing everything that's available. Now, AI has changed the world in the way we work now. Claude is so important. The things you can do and automate, the apps you can build, it's really the future. And if you don't get on the AI train, you will get left behind, unfortunately. So glad to speak from being an alumni and also being able to discuss this. I love talking shop with all talent when it comes to AI.
Thank you, Harry. Thank everybody for joining us today. So now I'm going to get right into it. So everybody here wants to know, what exactly are companies or organizations looking for when they are seeking early career tech talent? And what are the skills gaps that you're seeing most in candidates right now? So what are the companies looking for, and where do you feel like the gaps are?
So for myself, the one thing that I've seen a lot of is that people are not coding outside of their traditional career or coursework. So having a GitHub and having a repository is one of the biggest things you could have to differentiate yourself. The next thing is going to hackathons, being involved in networking. LinkedIn is a great tool that a lot of people are not using. You join the LinkedIn groups, you network with other people in your space, because just having a degree is not going to be enough. You need to have the technical expertise, but you also need the soft skills to interview. So I've met a lot of men right now at Phoenix. I just recruited 2 days ago, actually. I got his Forbes 30 under 30, Mensa. That's the kind of talent that we recruit. To get to that point, you have to put a lot of time in outside of work. And obviously, you command huge salaries. We just hired this guy. His total package is 900K. 400 on the base, another 500 in equity, bonuses, and things like that. So to get into that top percentage, you have to put all the groundwork in from the base level up. That's just what I've been seeing. And you need to have the total package, the soft skills, the AI skills, the technical skills, but also the vision and taking that initiative.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Harry. I think the job market has changed just because the economy's changed. Employers are being incredibly selective on who they're looking to hire. I don't think that's a secret to anybody on this call. It is hard to break into this space as an entry-level person. It always has been, and it's got exponentially harder over the last 6 months to a year. So it's the entire package. I do see that candidates, they should be networking. That's going to expose them to more contacts and help them build their career out. But also just the soft skills, I feel are a bit not as prevalent as they used to be. I think just the way society is, everybody's on social media. We're not interacting face to face as much anymore. So I find it across the board, candidates are less comfortable answering some of those questions, those really selling themselves for a role, not just explaining what they did on a project, but what was their mindset behind that project? How did they approach it? What did they do to get themselves and their group organized and prepared? Because all clients are looking for those intangible things. When I hire somebody, how am I going to know about their work ethic? How am I going to know how they're going to approach a problem? And I feel like in addition to their technical skills, because they're really, again, looking for everything, selling their mindset and their approach and their analytical approach to problems is really key. Sometimes that can get an employer to kind of see that value and that person is trainable and coachable. But to Harry's point, absolutely get additional projects under your belt. School, you can only teach so much. So how do you get additional exposure to additional tools? Start personal projects. Redo a project you did in school in another language, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but get comfortable expanding your skill base as much as possible. I've noticed a lot of schools have also moved away from Java because AI is so prevalent now. A lot of them are focusing a lot more on Python. I staff for a lot of big banks. We fill a lot of Java developer positions because most students aren't comfortable in Java. It's a clunky language. It's not as comfortable. But it's more secure. And some organizations, especially some of these older banks, they have legacy systems. They still will use Java on a regular basis. So having a broad of a skill set as possible in this space, I think, is key. Because who knows what's the next big piece of technology. So, and I also think it helps sell a person. when you're talking to an employer, this is my full scope of knowledge. This is what I do on my personal time. This is just not a means to have, a six-figure salary. This is my passion. And I think those things really help convey that. So I feel like those, again, a little bit of everything is what the client is looking for. And I think some of that approach can help candidates really kind of like sell themselves and give them that well-rounded background.
Thank you for that, Harry and Steve. Did any of the other panelists want
Yeah,
to
I
add to
think that
this?
I think Steve, the key word that Steve mentioned at the very end there is sell. Um, you have to be able to sell yourself. You have to be able to sell the value that you have to offer. Um, and because today employers have options, they have choices. The minute they put out a job posting, they're literally looking at hundreds, if not thousands, of possible candidates. Um, and you need to be able to stand out. Just having the skills and the experience, unfortunately, is not enough. Um, if you can't, if you can't express and clearly um, let the interviewer know what you bring to the table, um, the lack of confidence that they're going to have with you and being able to share that with their clients if they hire you, um, it's going to be a red flag. So, and I agree with a lot of things that Harry indicated and Steve. Too many to share, so I'll leave it at that. But the key word is being able to sell your abilities and the value that you bring to the organization that you're looking at to be hired by.
Also, I know this is a big thing. A lot of people use AI to do their resumes to put the keywords in so you pop up in Boolean searches. There's a lot of ATS systems now that will automatically filter out your resumes if they sense your AI coded resumes. So you can use AI to enhance your resume. Myself personally, I'm a headhunter. I've never hired anybody in my 13 years of recruiting from application. It just happens that way. So you want to put that on your LinkedIn profile. But when you're sending out your resumes to an ATS system, they have filters that will remove your AI encoded resume. So you can use AI to enhance it, but do not have AI write your resume from scratch because it will get filtered out and you're going to wonder why I sent 100 applications and nobody's reaching out to me. So just there's something nobody's going to tell you because recruiters don't care to tell candidates that, but I'm telling you that just from experience being on both sides of the coin. And now
Yeah.
with it being a employer driven market instead of a candidate driven market, you have to stand out. So the best way to do it, I'll tell anybody, you research the company, send a connection request to the hiring manager. Some LinkedIn posts, they'll have the recruiter posted by just job poster. Send a connection request, follow their page, join some of their groups, ask for referrals from other people that are in your network that know them. Try to just get your resume some visible attention. Just don't get phased out by ATS because now they're so like I just added a feature into Lever literally 2 days ago where I can automatically filter out all AI resumes because we get a lot of spam resumes too, fake profiles. You get catfished a lot as a recruiter too. So just a word of advice that'll help you guys get the most you get out of each application.
Going off of what everybody said here, I think the common theme along all of these comments is somebody who really stands out, right? Somebody who really kind of separates themselves from the pack. As a recruiter who speaks to people on every day and on a constant basis, there are certain people who are just independent thinkers. You can just when you know it, when you see it, you know it, right? Like they're not just another candidate looking for a job. You're like, wow, okay, that's this person. And there was an example of somebody who actually went through the CUNY Tech talent pipeline. Her name was Afifa. She just blew me away from the very beginning. She was just so herself and so confident and so knowledgeable. And I placed her at, I think, JPM or something like that. And even to this day, she's still sending me text referrals of her friends trying to help people. It's these are the people that really these are the people that get jobs these days. The people who kind of go beyond just the surface level stuff. The people who are truly themselves.
I just wanted to add one more thing, just to add on to what Harry said. Also, using AI during interviews. is become a primary concern for myself, our clients. We just got off a meeting because one of our instructors was concerned somebody was using AI. We have other thoughts, but it's so prevalent that clients have to make assumptions. And there's so many ways to utilize it now during an interview. I literally rejected someone else because he had two different earpieces on. It gave me, and also some of his answers gave me some indication that he might have been using AI, and I can't take a chance to submit somebody like that to a client. So AI is fantastic, but there's also, I think it's overutilized by a lot of young people, and that's something we need to be really careful of. I can talk about this for a long time, but I'll stop it there and leave some room for some extra questions.
Steve, you hit a good point, and one of the notes that I made for myself to make sure that I share it, not just in the hiring process, you have currently IT professionals in different areas of discipline that solely rely on AI at the expense of their own skills and experience. And I caution entry-level folks to avoid falling into that trap, because AI is a tool and should be used only as a tool and not to replace the knowledge that you have, right? So you're spot on there. It's not just on the recruiting phase, but once you get the job, don't fall into that trap.
Thank you all for sharing. Before I move on to my next question, I wanted to acknowledge I'm kind of doing this a little bit out of order because these are some hot button topics for us. So Jackie Belendo, our program director at CUNY Tech Prep, would like to know how students can show that they're teachable and coachable. I think that was sort of a follow-up to something that Harry said. Um, we're dealing with students who are sometimes feeling like they have to go into an interview thinking like a senior level engineer. Like, no, you're going for an internship, which is a job that's essentially also a learning experience. You want to show them that you are teachable and coachable and you would be a great fit for their internship program or their new grad program. How can students help themselves by showing that they're teachable and coachable?
So I used to go to a lot of the tech, like boot camps, and do post hiring. It just comes with, hey, you do campus recruiting here or there. I've done some for some SUNY schools. I've done some from some CUNY schools. What always sticks out? Initiative. Did you research the company? Did you research the interviewer? Do you know the company history? Do you know what their tech stack is? Do you know what their competitors are? Where are the company trying to go? They usually have goals or aspirations. And then you tailor your interview to that. So for example, say, hey, you see this company is trying to be a big player in the e-commerce space, for example, like Phoenix. All right, well, I see that PayPal has this new feature, or eBay's rolling this out, or I see Stripe has these problems. Is this a problem you're trying to solve? You always want to interview as if you have the job and you're solving a problem for them. That's the approach you want to take in. You imagine yourself in the job and you interview that as such. That way, you not only show you're interested, but you show that, hey, look, you already envisioned being in the job. 90% of people are not doing that. And that's one way you separate yourself from everybody else. They'll be like, hey, I remember Tom. He gave us some great ideas, some great insight. Great. The more popular thing now in a lot of interviews now, both in recruiting and on the technical, you have to do case studies. So in addition to having 2 or 3 personal rounds, a technical round, you'll have a case study we have to show you work. They don't want you to use AI. Obviously, they can tell, right? You can use AI to assist, but they want to see your independent way of thinking. So taking that initiative is like half the battle. Showing up, dressing well, being knowledgeable, being prepared, preparation's half the war. And that's how you separate yourself. And that's what's really done for me. I could tell who took the interest to research the company. And those are the people that we've gravitated toward, given opportunities to move up.
Case studies are great, not only for this particular conversation, but also for business in general. But in terms of this question that was asked, case studies that relate to a project where you were the person working on it, as opposed to a large team, will speak to your abilities, your ability to learn as well. And also, what's very helpful for me as an employer, is when your boss can speak to your abilities, right? Having personal references is great, but having references from someone that you work for is going to be very telling. And so, folks that are in school, still in school, right? So the entry level, there are times when you work for somebody. You may have had a job, worked on a project. Those all count. Those all count as experience.
I think, I agree with what everybody said. Doing like and being involved in like school organizations, having had leadership roles within those organizations, also really kind of tell that on your resume before you even kind of step in the room. Internships are great. That shows that you're going the extra mile, and like you will put in the time and effort to get what you want. Also, I think interviewing is also like telling a story, right? So when you're giving an example of a project that you worked on, talked about, you can make some humble brags. You can talk about how you approached and worked with your teammate, and I think little pieces like that won't sell somebody on a job. But if you're giving multiple examples of you making sure, I make sure we all had a GitHub set up so we can share our code on there. We all know when to pull and push our code. I saw somebody was struggling in my team, so I made sure I reached out to them. And then you kind of go about your story. It's not about, you don't make that the sole piece of your story, but if you kind of pour that in from time to time, I think it gives that interviewer a really well-rounded understanding of how you will be on the job. So I think it's those communication skills and how to effectively sell yourself, share exactly how you approach these team environments, because these are all team environments. I think can also really go a long way. And those are the things that will resonate with somebody after they're off the call with you and they're looking to make a decision. Harry really stood out. He talked to me about how he worked with these other teams. He seemed like a great fit for our team. That's what they'll end up saying. I think he's a great fit for our organization. I think he'll fit really well with the team. I think students don't always understand that. So, we're kind of coaching them through the interview process. I think that could be really key in helping that interviewer get a really well-rounded view of who this person is.
Oh, something else very important. This has disqualified a lot of people for me. Ego. I've had candidates graduate from Columbia saying, never worked a day in their life. I need 200, and this is like 5, 6, 7 years ago. I need 200K out the school. This is what my friends are getting. I was like, oh, so where are your friends working? Start naming some companies. I'm like, I've staffed these companies. This one on the agency side. I was like, they don't pay anywhere near that. You in your mind think you're entitled to 200 grand. You never worked a day in your life. There's people that have experience, better degrees, came from better schools, whatever it may be, taking less. Don't price yourself out. You're not the only person with that degree. They print thousands of them every day. Take a step back. I'll prove myself. I'll take a prove it deal, right? Take a little less, work yourself up in a company. It may not be the most appealing thing now, but 5, 10 years down the road when you have the experience, that'll get your foot in the door. That's another way. Don't have ego. Don't act like you know it all. I learn new stuff every day. I've been doing this 13 years. I learn new things every single day. Somebody gives me advice, I take it. Whether I agree with it or not, I'll take its and bits of that I agree with to become a better recruiter. And in any field, especially tech, the way it's evolving, you have to be better than you were yesterday, no matter what you do.
Right. Oh.
One thing I wanted to add.
Thank you. Oh, it's another. Okay, go ahead. Sure.
Yeah, which is one last thing I wanted to add. When you ask the question, how do you show someone that you're teachable and coachable, right? And this might sound simple, but actually show me that you're teachable and coachable. You can look at someone's resume and they've done this boot camp and they've done that and they've done this, but that's the past, right? Like sometimes I'll speak to somebody and not explicitly tell them, okay, the next time we talk, I want you to look into this, this, and that. But maybe a little hint, like, oh, this certification might be a good thing to look into, or maybe I'm seeing a little gap here in your experience. It might be good to learn this. And then the next time we talk, if they show me that they've done that without me explicitly having to ask, that's how I know for a fact that because the resume that's good, but it's words. That's how I know for a fact that they're teachable and coachable, because they're showing me. I don't need to look at it. They're showing me.
And
Thank you for that. We're getting a lot of
and
thumbs up. Juan, did
yeah,
you want
and
to say
adding
something else
on
though?
Harry and Alex's point, I will say to showing you're teachable and coachable is in a way that first of all, like through networking, you need to understand what the industry is currently in need. For example, AI. How is the tech company using AI in real world, right? Which level they're on, what they're struggling with, just like Harry said. And at the same time, entry-level students may not have the time or experience to work on that in depth of the technical tasks, but work on projects. There are so many projects on YouTube. Just follow tutorials or ask someone from the company, ask your network that work in those companies to give you a task to do, and then use that task as your gateway to connect with more people. Say, hey, I realize typically the company at your stage are facing this kind of challenge, and I've done a project I want to show you. Can you give me some feedback? So this way, to show that you care, you know what you're talking about, you know what they're struggling, and you have shown that you have done the extra mile to prove that you are teachable and coachable and you're willing to learn. So teachable and coachable can translate to willing to learn. So that's that's how I've seen a couple of my students got hired just by stacking projects on their resume, even if they don't have that much of work experience.
So I'm gonna have to drop in a minute or so, but I wanted to share one last thought, which hasn't been mentioned here. Industry recognized credentials. They're important. Some think, well, that doesn't mean that you know everything, and no, it doesn't. But it's your ticket into getting an interview many times. Um, but once you get the job, your IRC is not what's going to allow you to keep your job. It's your ability to put those skills to practical use, right? But you need to have them. Some folks won't even grant you an interview unless you have the IRC that they're looking for. And you're starting to see more in the AI space now. But if you're cybersecurity, if you're looking for a cybersecurity role, you should have either CompTIA Security Plus, or you should have, um, one, the one from Cisco, or what have you. Um, if you're looking for a project management role, then you should have a PMP, or you should have some kind of a IRC that speaks to that. And the reason that's important is because it shows that you have the foundation that's required for that job role, right? That can be built upon. I use two analogies or two examples of what IRCs are. It's like you going to a 4-year college at the end, you never get your degree, right? Or you've been driving for 10, 20 years safely, never got involved in a traffic accident, or never got involved in some kind of a violation. The minute you get stopped by a law enforcement agency, you're not going to get by saying, I don't have my driver's license, but I've been driving for 20 years, never been involved in it. No, you need to have proof that you have the skills and the ability to drive that vehicle in that state. IRCs is the same, plays the same role. So don't take the train, don't be one of those that take the training but not take the tests. It just doesn't make any sense. I will leave you with those parting words.
Thank you so much for your thoughts and for your time, Angel. Thank you for sharing with us. We've got a couple of questions in the chat, but I did want to first ask everyone because we touched on it a little bit. What are some of the career pathways in tech? So I know, like Angel talked about some of the different professions where an IRC, an industry recognized credential, may be useful. And I think we had another example of like case studies, which we know not all roles are asking for case studies. So what are some of the different career pathways in tech that you would say you're seeing the most demand for that maybe some of the folks in the room here today aren't really aware of?
So the hottest stuff on the market now, LLM engineers, AI native engineers, AI product engineers, AI product managers. If you don't want to do the hard coding, but you want to be it's like a technical product manager. Those roles right now, my company is paying 300 to 350 base, another 350, 400 on the back end, and we're paying aggressively. Guess what? We're not paying the most on the market. I literally spoke with this super AI guy, another Mensa guy. He had $1 million offer, right? Like I didn't think growing up you can get a 7-figure job working for somebody else. I was wrong. I was wrong. So AI focused roles, hottest thing. You will need TypeScript or React or the parting language to go with the AI. But reality is AI does 80-85% of your coding now, and you just have to do the right guardrails. You have to fix your hallucinations and things like that. But the AI stuff is like Python back in the 2000s or Scala back in the 2000s. People were breaking the bank open to get it. Or if you were a quartz engineer for like Bank of America, you're on an island somewhere right now, 7-8 figure salaries, right? Like it's just that's the new thing now, and that's going to be the hottest thing for the next 5-10 years till there's something else outside of AI. I don't know what that is yet. I don't think we knew what AI would have been where it is now, but that's like the hottest skill set.
And Harry, there is a question. Is it for most mid or senior folks or entry-level folks?
It's going to be for more senior folks, but the level of AI we're at now, it's only been out realistically 3 years, right? We're just concluding IBM Watson and like machine learning, like pure AI. Everybody's gonna have a year, 2 years of AI right now because it's pretty new. So getting in now and is gonna pay off dividends for the long run. And these salaries are not going anywhere. Where we're seeing now is a lot of the traditional engineers, if before you needed 4 engineers to do a role, you only need 2 now. There used to be sprints, which is how fast you can ship your code out and deploy it. It used to be 4 weeks. Then it was 2 weeks, whether you were doing agile or waterfall methodologies. Now with AI, you can ship code every day. So you don't need as many legacy engineers. And that's why all of them that are on the market now, they didn't adapt AI. They didn't integrate AI into the workflow. So a lot of the older languages, .NET, Java, getting phased out. It just is what it is, right? If you want to work at a cutting edge tech startup, for example, you're going to need a lot of AI. It just is what it is. But they will break the bank open for you.
I want to.
So your LinkedIn is about to blow up. Sorry, go ahead, Juan. Your LinkedIn is about to blow up, Harry. I hope
Yeah.
you know that. Okay.
It's no worries. I have 13,000 connections with a few hundred more.
I'll be applying for one of your roles, Harry. So you're gonna hear from me right after this call.
Yeah, but this also, if you guys ever want to get into recruiting, I did not know recruiting was as lucrative as it is now. Like going back to it, it's very, very lucrative. You make very, very good money.
I'm taking all the notes, Harry.
So I want to add on Harry's
Yeah.
point, where I have seen the opportunity lies in in startup, at the same time it lies in small to medium-sized businesses. So in the US, small to medium-sized business account for over 90% of the total company in general. So I would say at the same time the industry is thirsty for those talents that have AI experience. At the same time, as Harry mentioned, AI has only been around for 2 to 3 years. So what I've seen as a trend is if you have done a work related to AI, it doesn't matter big or small, company shows interest to you. So this ties back to how entry-level students can start from the first step all the way goes to what Harry mentioned, to be AI engineer earns 200, 300, or even more, right? So I would recommend them to start from small or medium-sized business where usually software engineers, so I work for a small business, right? Staffing company. What we have seen is a lot of those companies usually cannot afford to hire a software engineer. And what if a entry-level student or student just graduated send out an email to those companies, say, hey, I know AI is the big thing, and I know you're probably struggling of implementing AI into your workflow. I can help you, right? So if you can start somewhere, gaining experience to work on AI, doesn't matter if they pay you sub-minimum wage or something. The experience is what you need. After 2-3 years, you can jump. You can reach higher. So this is what I have seen for entry-level students to start somewhere and then go high.
Thank you for that. So I wanted to just make sure I address some of the questions in the chat related to this topic. A lot of the concern is that it's entry level roles for us at CUNY, right? So Dawn asked, how are people learning these skills? And Zamira responded, that's why we're launching CUNY Futures. And there are other programs, even in our own program, CTP, we have a track in the spring, which is building AI apps, just to kind of acquaint students. And then, of course, you mentioned sort of the background skills that you need before you can even get to that. So like teaching React, teaching TypeScript. So we're doing that also. A lot of the programs are supplementing what's being done in the classroom because it does take a lot longer to get a curriculum changed. So just wanted to mention that. And when I share the slides, you'll see some of the different programs that we have at CUNY, including CUNY Tech Prep and CUNY Futures. And so Karen wanted to know, or I think it was Elise, wanted to know, so we're reading that there's a 25% drop in entry level hires. Do you agree with those statistics? We are running out of time, so I want to try and condense the questions. And then, like, what are opportunities that are out there that are for entry level recent grads?
I
Oh.
I was like, I 1,000% agree with everything Wen and Harry said. I think they're spot on as far as where the market is right now and where it's headed in the future. I do feel, because again, AI is also going to cut into these roles, right? So there will be less opportunities as we move forward for entry-level developers, which is a larger concern we've been talking to with our clients and how they staff and how they build their organizations. But the fundamentals, I think, are still needed. So like when our clients are looking to fill more junior positions, it's how much testing have they done? Like it's more of the initial easier portions, right? It might not be the sexiest work, but right now they still need people doing some of that. Obviously, it's a combination of, it's kind of how we started this, combination of everything, right? Having those AI skills, but also having proof on your resume that, you've done some quality assurance, that you know how to build, like how code is structured, and you've built, like, you've done a lot of debugging and review a lot of code. So I think the need is still there for, the core languages that you're teaching in school, but I think it's more real world experience, internships, co-ops, so you can utilize that in the real world and have examples of how you fit into this larger organizational structure. And it's not all theoretical. It's personal projects. It's also like actual work experience. So whether it's paid or unpaid, to Wan's point, get yourself into an organization so you can start building those skills and connections. Because in reality, we don't know where tech is going in the next few years. Outside of AI being really prominent, it's going to pivot again. There is a concern with a lot of people that it will cut into entry-level positions. And what does that mean for an entry-level, comp sci graduate right now? It's a little concerning, I think, for some people. But again, going back to make more connections, you have tangible examples of projects in real world, working in real world scenarios. I think that will help a candidate edge out another candidate who maybe hasn't focused on that as much.
And just to go off that, and kind of bringing this back to the main question, but also like the other question that was tying it all together, some of the roles that we've been seeing, and this isn't something that's always that obvious, right, is more like DevOps, like production support analyst roles, right, and like, a role kind of designed to maintain applications that already exist and monitor them and make sure that the critical infrastructure, especially in something like a bank where you have large scale applications moving millions, billions of dollars back and forth, they need people to monitor that, and make sure, if something goes down, that it's fixed quickly, right? And then, I feel like a lot of people go through the computer science track and they're like, okay, I want to build, I want to make apps, right? But there's a lot of demand actually, with our clients for this other kind of track, which is more of the maintaining, the debugging, the monitoring, right? And talk about roles that are insulated from AI, right? You talk about like a big bank where there's money moving back and forth. The people that are making sure that that stuff doesn't break, these are real world applications that affect literally society. The people who are making sure that these things don't break, that's going to be the last thing automated, of course. So, maybe that might help somebody out there listening.
Oh, to build off that, Alec, that was a great point. No matter how much AI we have, there's always going to have to be a developer that, one, has to debug it, has to set the right guardrails, fix the hallucinations or the error in the coding. So you will always need that foundational CS base. So don't feel just because AI is the latest and greatest now, your computer science degree where you learned all these different languages is not going to be relevant. You still will need that technical foundation to properly use AI, to properly train your models. So it's always great to have that foundation.
100%
for
agree
whatever you
with
do.
Harry.
Yeah.
So what I want to add is that so the 25% decrease in entry-level jobs, I also completely agree. We can safely say it's replaced by AI. So now the question is, how can we not be replaced by AI even if we are entering entry-level jobs, right? So we have seen the jobs that, jobs that requires repetitive work, data entry, especially are getting replaced because it does not involve a level of thinking, a level of designing. So the fundamental difference between an entry-level software engineer and a senior or even mid-weight software engineer is, your thought process, your architectural design experience. So when you type a prompt into AI and AI gives you an answer, are you able to tell if it's correct? Are you able to tell what needs to be changed to fit into your code? Right? So that's the difference, and that's the mindset I would say students need to gain, need to have for them to be hired nowadays. As Steve mentioned, experience helps. Experience a work experience or project experience that trains you. So school does a great job at giving you all these tools, right? So let's say if for a software engineer to be a great software engineer, you need to know how to build a house. School gives you the concrete, gives you the wood, gives you all the tools you need to build a house, but you haven't built the house. So all these projects, all these entry-level job experience, or your work experience in general, basically you are learning, you're using those tools to build a house to a point that next time a company needs you to build a railway station, you know how to do it. So that's my point on that.
Thank you all so much. I know there's probably a ton more questions. I do encourage everybody to share their information in the spreadsheet that I created so that people can connect and you're not trying to scramble for names and for LinkedIn profiles. So please do feel free to share your contact info and stay connected with everyone. Thank you so